Hello, dear viewers. Today, we will follow a deeply emotional story about life and death, love, and regret. A father, due to the pressures of work, neglected his own health. During a business trip abroad, in the middle of an important meeting, he suddenly suffered a stroke. The moment's near death made him reflect on his entire life and realize that there were things he had missed, important relationships he had never cherished. Would he survive and change? Could the love of his family help him overcome the greatest challenge of his life? When life is reduced to mere moments, will we realize the importance of family, health, and love? Can regret help us change and grow? Don't miss this profound story, as it will make you reconsider the true values in life. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other inspiring and meaningful stories. James' father was a man who was devoted to both his work and his family. As someone who was always hardworking and responsible, he prioritized his job and constantly strived to build a better life for his family. Despite his busy schedule, he always made time for his wife and son, no matter how hectic his days were. James greatly admired and respected his father, not just as a role model but also as a great companion in his life. However, James never expected that an unexpected tragedy would occur while his father was on a business trip abroad. It was an important business trip for his father, a long flight full of uncertainties. Before boarding the plane, he gave James and his mother a few words of advice, hoping the trip would be successful and they would meet again soon. Everything seemed to go smoothly when he boarded the flight, but little did anyone know that, on the vast sky, a storm would hit. Known as a resilient person, he never prepared himself for such a devastating outcome. The flight encountered a violent storm, causing the plane to shake and making everyone on board feel anxious and frightened. Fortunately, despite the turbulence, James' father managed to overcome it and landed safely. However, behind the seemingly smooth journey was a painful and unexpected turn of events. After arriving at his destination, he felt tired but continued with his work, not complaining once. He participated in meetings and presentations with clients as usual. However, an unforeseen crisis struck. Despite his history of high blood pressure and heart disease, he continued to engage in stressful work. During an important meeting, while giving a presentation, he suddenly felt a sharp chest pain and difficulty breathing. Before he could understand what was happening, he collapsed at the table, causing panic among everyone in the room. His colleagues immediately called for an ambulance and rushed him to the nearest hospital. This was the moment that changed everything for James' family. When James received the news from one of his father's colleagues, both he and his mother were completely stunned. They couldn't believe what they had just heard. The report about his father's critical condition caused panic in the family. James' mother could hardly breathe when she heard that her husband had suffered a stroke. Worrying about her husband's condition, she started feeling unwell, unable to stand steady. The whole family was thrown into chaos, unsure of how to handle the situation. James tried to stay calm, but he couldn't help but feel hopeless. Realizing how serious the situation was, James immediately decided that he and Diep would fly abroad to take care of his father. However, this wasn't an easy decision, as the physical distance and his father's critical health made it more complicated. But James knew he couldn't wait any longer. Together with Diep, he quickly prepared all the necessary arrangements to get there as soon as possible. The flight from Vietnam to abroad lasted nearly a day, but every minute felt like an eternity to James. He only hoped to arrive in time to see his father one last time and to help him through the crisis. The scene at the hospital where James' father was being treated left him heartbroken. His father was under the care of several doctors, but his condition was still critical. The doctors did everything they could, but the situation remained tense. The long hours of waiting tested James and his mother's emotional strength. Diep was always by James' side, never leaving him alone, offering support and comfort during these difficult moments. Her presence felt like a light guiding James through the darkest time. James felt the shift in his relationship with Diep during this ordeal. Before, he had seen her merely as his girlfriend, but now, she had become an indispensable part of his life. His gratitude for her grew with each passing day because she was there beside him, facing this challenge together. If it weren't for her encouragement, care, and support, James might not have been able to get through this difficult time. Their bond became stronger, more solid, after going through such a challenging period. Thanks to the help of the skilled doctors and Diep's attentive care, James' father pulled through the critical moment. Though still weak, he was able to open his eyes and see his family by his side. The feeling of seeing his loved ones after moments of despair moved him deeply. He realized how important family was, how vital it was to have those who were always by your side, sharing your burdens in life. After James' father survived the critical moment, both he and his mother felt an indescribable sense of relief, but deep down, they couldn't stop worrying about his condition. The hospital where James' father was being treated wasn't just a place that saved his life, but also a place where all the emotions of the family were laid bare. The scene didn't just shock James, it also devastated his mother. She had been worried since she received the news, and upon arriving at the hospital, her eyes never stopped shedding tears due to her concern for her husband. Although they were informed that he had passed through the critical stage, they still had to patiently wait because his health was still very fragile. During this time, Diep was always by James' side, never leaving him for a second. She understood the worry and pain James was going through. Although she was his girlfriend, she did not hesitate to face this challenge, becoming James' steady companion through every moment. Every time she saw James distressed, she would gently reassure him, easing the storm in his heart. While she knew she couldn't replace the worry of the family for him, Diep always tried to become James' greatest source of support during these difficult times. Even though James' father's condition had stabilized, he still needed time to fully recover. The doctors said he would undergo a long recovery process and needed to take extra care of his health. James could see the wounds not just on his father's body but also in his heart, wounds from worries and regrets that weighed him down. The feeling of being able to breathe easily after the critical moment made him reflect deeply on his life. He realized that he couldn't sacrifice his health and family just for work. In the following days, James and his mother never left his father's side. They took turns caring for him, helping him get through the tough moments. Diep also joined in the efforts, helping James prepare meals and taking care of him every step of the way. She wasn't just a girlfriend, she had truly become a member of James' family. Every time she helped his mother or took care of his father, James felt how important Diep was in his life. He no longer saw her just as his ideal partner but as someone indispensable during the most difficult times. With Diep's help, James' father gradually recovered. Though still weak, he could at least speak and recognize the people around him. The encouraging gestures and words from James and his mother, along with Diep's thoughtful care, helped him regain his strength. These days were a time when James' family became even closer. They realized that, apart from work and career, family was the most solid source of encouragement. One day, when James' father was able to sit up and talk, he started reflecting on the days before the illness struck. He remembered the times he had doubted Diep, treated her poorly because he hadn't understood her. He felt immense regret and sorrow. Tears fell from his eyes as he realized that, in the challenges of life, Diep was the one who had always been there for the family, helping unconditionally. She had been the light for James and his family during the darkest moments. This regret caused him a deep pain, not only because of his health but also because of the way he had treated the person who had always loved and supported his family. Diep said nothing, silently sitting by his side, taking care of him like a family member. She didn't ask for an apology or forgiveness from him, simply continuing to do good things for James' family. But it was through these sincere actions that he felt the real love Diep had for him. He cherished her more, and that was when he realized that family wasn't just about blood relations but about those who loved, cared, and shared in every circumstance. As time passed, James' father recovered, and the family returned to their normal routine. However, nothing was ever the same again, as the changes in his heart about how he viewed life and the people around him had transformed him into a different person. He became more open, more at ease, and especially, he began to truly appreciate those who loved him. The painful days they had gone through had taught him a valuable lesson about love and sacrifice, about living for those who truly mattered in his life. In the following days, things were still in turmoil for James' family. His father was slowly recovering, but his health was still very fragile. Although he could talk and recognize people, he wasn't fully restored yet. Every day, James and his mother took turns caring for him, attending to his meals and ensuring he rested well. His mother, though more stable now, still couldn't stop worrying about her husband and did everything she could to create a calm, comfortable environment to help him heal. Diep was always an indispensable companion during this process. Although she wasn't a family member, the care and love Diep showed James' father made everyone feel as though she was truly part of the family. She was attentive to every small need of his, always by James' side, helping him during moments when he felt exhausted or worried. Both James and his mother realized that Diep was not just James' reliable girlfriend but also a kindred spirit, always listening and sharing every concern. James' father began physical therapy to regain his strength. Every day, he had to perform light exercises, from moving his arms and legs to respiratory exercises to improve his health. During these moments, the whole family would gather together, encouraging him to push through the pain and continue his recovery. His resilience made James feel incredibly proud. He realized that no matter how difficult things were, with belief and love, one could overcome anything. One afternoon, while James was talking with his father, he opened up and shared his feelings. He said that during the moments he thought he might leave this world, he reflected on all that he had done, lived, and how he had treated others. He felt regret for not appreciating what he had, for not spending enough time with his family. He recalled the times when he had doubted Diep, treated her poorly because he hadn't understood her, but now he realized that she was the only one who hadn't left the family during the tough times. The words of apology he had never spoken now weighed heavily on his heart. James watched as his father's tears fell. His heart was filled with emotion. He knew his father had truly changed. The words of regret from his father's heart made James feel relieved. Not everyone can recognize their mistakes and express genuine remorse. Diep sat silently beside them, saying nothing, but her caring actions spoke volumes. She didn't expect any apology from him. She simply continued to care for him as a member of the family. Gradually, not only did James' father recover physically, but he also began to heal mentally. He became more open, willing to share his emotions and thoughts with the family. His relationship with Diep also improved. He frequently thanked her for always being there for the family during tough times, and gradually, he realized that nothing was more valuable than family love, patience, and understanding. After a long period of recovery, James' father was able to return to his normal life. He no longer experienced the pain or difficulties he had before, but more importantly, the way he viewed life had changed. He no longer saw work and career as everything, but instead, he treasured every moment with his family and loved ones. The bond between James and Diep grew even stronger after their hardships. It was only through these great challenges that James truly understood how important Diep was in his life. He thanked her for being his steadfast companion, helping him get through the hardest trial of his life. Their love now was not only built on happy moments but also on deep understanding and shared compassion during the most difficult times. This story truly makes me reflect on the values in life that we often overlook. Sometimes, in the rush of work and life, we forget about our health and the loved ones around us. The price of this neglect can be very high, as shown in this story, when the father faced a sudden stroke and almost lost his life. It was those moments near death that made him realize that nothing is more important than health and family. Although he made mistakes, with the love and care of his family, he was given a chance to change. This story reminds us that we should never let work take over everything and that we must make time to care for ourselves and our family, as they are the ones who will always stand by us in the most difficult times.